Welcome to the Vault Podcast and Reviews, where music still matters. You can check out all our shows at YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and PODOMATIC. Please rate, review, and most importantly, subscribe. Also, make sure to check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And if you like what we're doing and you'd like to contribute to help us keep the show going, check out patreon.com/thevault. All right, Robbie's back with us again today, and I threw another curveball at him, and it better get 100 stars or we're going to have some problems. We're reviewing Robin Trower, BBC in Concert, 1975. You had never heard of him, correct?
No, never. And so you threw him at me, and I was kind of like, 75. We'll see what happens. It was good though. I was pleasantly surprised. So.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, this is a three-piece group. Robin Trower's the lead guitar player, and then I can't remember the name of the guy that sings. That's terrible of me to not remember right now doing their review, but he is awesome. And
yeah, man. Like I said, I'd never heard of him before. He's great. The whole album is amazing. Like, he starts off, the first two songs are good, but then he jumps right into one of my favorites, which is Gonna Be More Suspicious. Man, that song rocks so hard.
Yeah, I know. that guitar, like, the guitar riff is so catchy, and you remember it. I do have a little bit of a complaint that some of the song relies on that specific little short riff too much in the song, but it's nitpicking, really. I mean,
yeah, right.
Like, top to bottom, this album is great. What else did you notice just musically that you really enjoyed from this album?
Obviously the guitar work is amazing. It's real bluesy, but in the middle of doing some blues, like right afterwards, he'll just like shred the guitar to pieces.
Well, and it's not bikers blues and barbecue blues. It's like right. It's got this heavy edge to it. Any of the 70s hard rock stuff you'd expect. It's that, but it's blues mixed. I mean, it's just a great combination of the two, I think.
Exactly. It's a great mix. That combined with, the guy singing, which I'm not sure his name, we should probably look that up, but the guitar work combined with the singing is just, wow, man. I mean, it's like he reaches right inside you and grabs your soul and just makes you listen. It's good.
Yeah, and we talk about that all the time, about how, like, sometimes you can value the way music makes you feel as far as, like, the tones or the riff or the lyrics. It's just, sometimes there's things like that that give you a feeling, and to me, the feeling is more important than anything over musicianship, over production quality, over any of that. And this album hits me 100%. Like you can feel 100%. Yeah, and for especially like a live album recorded this well, and you can feel 100% authenticity in this.
Oh man, I mean they definitely get it, and you don't find that very often. I mean, that's why you look back in the 70s and you see that.
Exactly.
But, I mean, you still see it now too. But I mean, that's art, man. Art's supposed to make you feel some type of way, if you will. But yeah, they definitely pull it off great. And so, I mean, they have all these rockin' songs, that are super bluesy and, great, like guitar solos just shredding. And then like a quarter of the way through the album or halfway through the album, they switch it up on you and slow it down with, what is it? The Daydream,
which actually this live version of this song is one of my favorite songs from Robin Trower ever.
It's great. It was an awesome song. And I like that they kind of tossed that in there. I mean, you've got to have variety because, I mean, yeah, you can do a whole album of straight rocking and shredding, but if you toss something in the middle to break up the monotony, it's going to make that album that much better, stand out a little bit more.
Yeah, the album composition is perfect, the way that the songs are put together. Opening up with a little bit faster, Day of the Eagle, great opening song. Closing with a little bit of Sympathy, which is still kind of a rockin' song, but a little bit slower and a little bit different feel to it, with the slower stuff like Daydream thrown in. The composition is just great. And, I think this album has enough variety to keep your attention, but yet it still has this same like driving force core through the whole thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because like when I first looked at it, Spotify said that this album came out in 2009 because that's when they had released the show. We decided, and I was like, damn, this is 2009. Like, that is crazy. It was blowing my mind to hear something like that in 2009. Then you said 75, and I was like, oh, well, that makes a lot more sense.
So I don't know that I have any negatives. I mean, I have some little nitpicking stuff we'll get into in a little bit, but
I want to bring up the drum solo in that song Aletha. I'm assuming that's how you would say it, right?
Aletha. I've heard it pronounced multiple ways. So
man, he shreds the whole song, and then that guy comes in with the drum solo and just explodes it. I bet the people at that show were losing their minds.
I also want to say Bridge of Sighs, in my opinion, is one of the greatest songs ever written. Yeah, that's a hot take, maybe, but man, that song just that hits you in the soul. That riff, it's so slow, but it's just got this mood to it. It's hard to explain until you hear it.
It's really hard to explain something like that, especially to people who don't like really get into music, kind of like we do. You know, it's a tough thing to describe. But hey, I mean, while we're going into that, what were all your favorite songs? Was that it, or?
Oh, I mean, I liked so many. I'll wait till the negatives and talk about ones that maybe I just didn't like as well. I think because there's more that I like than I even slightly dislike.
I was going to say I wrote more than half. I wrote more than half the album down of my favorites. You know, I mean, it was like 10 tracks. I think I picked like 4 or 5. So
yeah,
I couldn't decide.
Back to Bridge of Sighs for a minute. This is probably the second album that I've given you. It has a lot slower paced stuff on it. Are you getting used to that kind of stuff? Or are you undecided yet?
Well, I mean, compared to St. Vitus, this was nowhere.
Oh yeah, totally different. But I'm just saying, like, you know, it's a lot of people nowadays think of metal and think of rock and think of it's got to be fast and heavy shredding and everything. And to me, I mean, the slower stuff has more soul to it.
And see, and I like a lot of the slower stuff. Not quite as slow as, you know, some of the doom, but those real slow, crunchy guitar riffs, you know, are awesome. That's why I like A Day to Remember, like their breakdowns and stuff. You know, you get that slow, just heaviness. You know, it's great.
So, what did you dislike then? We'll start there.
I couldn't think of anything that I did not like about this album. I have zero complaints about this album. It was a surprise, you know, because like I said, I'd never heard of them before. And then for it to be this excellent from beginning to end, there's not a song I would have skipped. And I'll probably go back and listen to it again tonight. I was listening to it, you know, a little earlier too, right after I listened. So, you know, it's a good one. You know, I have no complaints.
I'm a huge Robin Trower fan, and then I'm going to nitpick it. But that's like I said a couple shows ago. You know, I can nitpick everything, and that's why I like to review albums, because even stuff I like, I can nitpick. And I'm not trying to brag, but I think that just shows that, like, I can look at any piece of music from a neutral standpoint. You know what I'm saying? So, again, nitpicking, going to be suspicious. Absolutely love that riff, but I think the song relies on that little short opening riff a little too much. It's still good, though. Aletha, the riff annoys me for whatever reason. Like, it's not bad, but it doesn't sound as good to my ears as some of the other ones.
Right.
That's pretty much it. I mean, oh no, one surprise.
That's not bad.
One surprise for me is Daydream. I mean, generally kind of, I'm not going to call this a ballad. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't even know what to call it. It's just slower paced song. It's not even like those really slow blues songs. It's something totally different. I mean, how would you describe it?
I have no idea. I'm in the same boat as you. I would describe it as worth listening to. Awesome. Amazing. It's you know, it's definitely great. I have no idea as far as like what kind of, you know, how I describe that other than that it's good.
All right, so let's just jump right into the ratings unless you got anything else.
No, I think we covered it all, man.
1 star being the worst, 5 stars being the best. I'm going to give it a 3 3/4. It does not quite get a 5 because of just the little bit of nitpicks I was talking about. However, I will say, if you want to get into Robin Trower, this is an album to get into because the production's perfect for being live. It's not a greatest hits, but it's got multiple awesome songs from multiple albums. And just top to bottom, every single song is good. No bad songs on here whatsoever, even though I nitpicked a few. So what do you got?
Man, I gave it a 5. This is the second 5 I've given out. You know, I gave one to George Jones. You know, I came in being the hip hop guy, and I gave a 5 to George Jones and a 5 to this guy. You know, it's crazy how that works. But yeah, man, like I said, I loved it beginning to end. I even showed my stepdad, made him listen to it because it was right up his alley too.
Yeah, he was digging it then?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely go check this out. And I think if you're like me, you're going to hear this, and then you're going to want to go get every single Robin Trower album. Because I have it, whether it's on CD, vinyl, or MP3s. I've pretty much got all of them in one way, shape, or form. And there's a lot of albums. I will say some of the later stuff he did was not as good, but everything is
getting carpal tunnel, hand slowing down.
No, it's just it doesn't have a lot of the soul. It sounds more like I don't even know how to describe it. It's just not as bluesy and hard as this is, but they're all still good, really, regardless. So thanks again for checking this review out. Don't forget to check us out on social media. Subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, PODOMATIC. Check out our Patreon page if you want to donate and help support the show, keep us going, because it does cost time and money. And yes, time is money. And until next time, see you guys later.